A quarter of a century has passed since one of Plymouth's darkest days. In the early hours of November the 7th, 1995, the bodies of two men were found in Central Park. They'd been tortured, mutilated and left for dead. The men were Terry Sweet and Bernard Hawken. 64-year-old Terry died at the scene. 54-year-old Bernard was left with serious injuries and died as a result many years later. What happened to them changed this city forever.
I just remember really being really scared and just thinking, God, Plymouth is a dangerous place for me to be, and this isn't a place perhaps where I'm able to come out, as a gay man. So it was quite a scary time, really, I think.
In the days following the attack, vile homophobic graffiti was scrawled at the scene, threatening further violence against the LGBT community. It left young gay men fearing for their safety, but in time came to be seen as a watershed moment.
I think it made people think that they had to kind of stand up and be counted, really. So, people became a bit more open about their sexuality, about their gender identity, and started having those conversations a bit more. So it kind of sort of ignited people, really.
The three teenagers who carried out the attack were quickly caught and eventually jailed for life. But the legacy of this awful incident lives long in the memories of those who were there at the time.
We should always remember where we have come from in that respect. It's like, having your remembrance services, etc. Marking the death of somebody brings us to a realisation of how much things have improved, how much further we have travelled.
The case led to fundamental changes in the police force in terms of diversity and inclusion, and better connecting with hidden parts of society.
It really brought it home that there were sections of the community that didn't have the confidence in the police to report incidents. That was a real big lesson. And so it meant that the police had to be much more aware of their of conduct, of the way that they interacted with members of the public, with other agencies.
The gruesome nature of the injuries suffered by the two men had a profound effect on those who witnessed the aftermath.
In our lives, there are significant events that have an impact. And certainly for me, that event had a huge impact.
I think all LGBT people in Plymouth from that time will remember the sense of fear, the sense of anger about it, but also the hope that this would produce something better, that we wouldn't have to live with the threats of violence and intimidation. And times have changed, but sadly, homophobic attacks still happen in 2020 in our city.
There are plans for a permanent memorial in the park to Terry and Bernard, something understated, but just enough to make sure their story is never forgotten. Sam Blackledge, ITV News in Plymouth.